What's good, YouTubers and YouTubettes? This is JBsports back again with another one. Had some great games last night in the NBA. We're going to talk about the second game that took place last night out there in Los Angeles, California. And we're going to talk about the game coming up tonight up in the BK, Brooklyn. The Nets trying to get into the Eastern Conference Finals against the Greek Freak and the Milwaukee Bucks. We're going to talk about that game and what's in store for that game tonight. But as far as the game last night, man, just the type of game where, you know, you had two teams that got hot. But the problem was the team that got hot in the fourth quarter won the game. You know, that's what this game basically boiled down to. The second quarter, man, the Utah Jazz could not miss. You know, Donovan Mitchell, a.k.a. Spider Mitchell, had it going. He was cooking. He was in his bag, hitting logo threes, man. He had two people on one time and was hitting threes. He was unconscious, man. He was red hot. They had no answer for him. And then Clarkson came in there, the sixth man of the year. He came in there and he pretty much misused and abused Reggie Jackson, a.k.a. Mr. June. And they was able to get a big lead, up 25 points in that game. As it looked like they was going to force a game 7 up in Salt Lake City. But the problem with Utah is, and the problem with a lot of these teams are outside of Phoenix, that defense is lacking. They don't play consistent defense for 4 quarters. And that's why I like Phoenix as far as the team to beat in these playoffs, because they've been the most consistent on both ends of the floor. And that's the problem with the Clippers and Utah. The thing about it was the Clippers was able to lock down and get stops in the fourth quarter. You know, when the game got close, man, I was on the phone with one of my homeboys. I said, look, man, it's going to come down to, you know, what team going to get the stops in the fourth quarter. Because, you know, both teams had their time where they were ultra hot. You know, Utah was hot in the second quarter. And now the Clippers are burning red hot right now in this fourth quarter. And it was going to come down to, could Utah Jazz get some stops? They weren't able to get any stops. The Clippers were able to get some stops. I don't know if it was just they was getting stops or was it that Utah Jazz just cooled off, man. You know, water's going to find its level. Because they made like somewhere around like 12. They were like 12 from 19, you know, at a time in the second quarter. Late in the second quarter, they was like 12 from 19 behind the three-point arc. And, you know, you knew that was going to kind of level off. And that's exactly what happened in that second half. You know, as they were leveling off, you know, the Clippers were, you know, arcing. They was going up. They was rising to the top. Get us up. Keep your head up. Keep your head up. Yeah, man, they was rising, man. As they was leveling off, they was rising, man. And they had no answer for Terrence Mann, man. That was a coming out party for him. He played well. You know, I thought Snyder made a critical error. You know, he kept Rudy Gobert in the game, but what was happening was they was penetrating into the paint, and Gobert does what he always does. He's gonna basically, you know, he's basically gonna try to challenge anything at the rim. And they were sucking him in, and then they were finding the shooters, man. They were doing that time and time again. That's what Paul George was doing, man. He was getting inside the teeth of the defense. Gobert coming over, and he was finding Terrence Mann in the corner. I don't know why Snyder did not take Rudy Gobert out of there, man. That's the thing about Rudy Gobert. It's not like he was killing him on the other end with his post moves, man. That's one thing he's going to have to do in the offseason. He's got to develop some post moves, because teams are going to do that time and time again in the playoffs, man. They're going to go small and they're going to draw him out. Or he's going to say, nah, I'm not going to come out there on the three-point shooter. I'm going to kind of shade and kind of stay in the paint. And if you do that, man, if you got shooters on your team, you can make the Utah Jazz pay. And that's exactly what the Los Angeles Clippers did. They were able to win that game 131 to 119 in a great game. And it might have been the best game of the playoffs. Not because it was a nail-biter inside 5 minutes. It was just the ebb and flow. You know, you look at one team that was so hot, couldn't miss in the second quarter, the Utah Jazz. And then it was just like the reverse. It was like a 180 or 360, however you want to say it. They were killing them in the second half that the LA Clippers were. They were just as hot as Utah was in the second quarter. So it just got down to, man, the failure of Snyder to make those adjustments by getting Gobert out the game and going small. You know, and I know he wanted to leave his defensive player of the year in there. I know what he was thinking. He was like, if I take him out, then they're going to really start getting to the basket at will. We ain't got no rim protection. That's what Snyder was thinking. But you can't think like that. You got to understand that, you know, he was caught between a rock and a hard place when you really look at it, because his defenders, as far as especially at the small forward position, you got Ingles and Bogdanovich, both of those guys are defensive liabilities. And that's why I felt going to this series, I was like, man, them guys going to have a hard time with Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. You know, those guys right there on the perimeter, they're going to have a hard time guarding them. And he was trying to play both of them at times in that second half. I was like, man, he need to get one of those guys out. I probably would take Bogdanovich out because he's horrible. He's a defensive liability. At least Ingles can, he's kind of crafty, you know, he's kind of like an irritator. He can kind of try to get under your skin and stuff like that. So I would, he competes on defense. So I would have left him out of there and took Bogdanovich out of there. But he did the exact opposite. He actually took Ingles out and left Bogdanovich in there. Bogdanovich hit a corner three, and I think he hit a top of the key three. But outside of that, man, he was getting misused and abused on the perimeter. That's why Gobert had to come over there and help, because he was constantly getting beat off the dribble. And then they was finding the shooters, man. And then Patrick Beverly came alive. Oh, Pat Bev, he came alive. You know, he was hitting, he went 3 for 4 behind the three-point arc in the fourth quarter. I was telling him, one of my homeboys on the phone, man, I was telling him, I said, man, he doing a Derek Fisher on the Utah Jazz. He doing a Derek Fisher on them. And he played well, man. He hit a lot of clutch threes to pretty much keep the momentum on the Los Angeles Clippers side. So good win by the Los Angeles Clippers, first time in history reaching conference finals. So that's a mark. You know, that's something that they can't throw in their face no more. Oh man, y'all been around forever. Y'all ain't even been to the conference finals, let alone the NBA finals. So they've able to finally reach that goal. And we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But as far as the Utah Jazz go, they need to give Donovan Mitchell some help. They got to get a point guard that can stay healthy. I like Mike Conley. He's been one of the most underrated players in the NBA for the last 10 to 15 years, but the guy can't stay healthy. And he tried to come back in this game to give his team a little bit of a lift, kind of do what James Harden did. You know, you could tell he wasn't what he was this year, but he tried to give him a lift, you know, and he tried to make people comfortable, put everybody back in their normal position, you know, get Donovan Mitchell off the point, put him back in this role that he's more comfortable with, and that being the two guard. And he pretty much was allowed everybody to get back into their role that they were used to being in during this season for the Utah Jazz. But the problem was that they would start to take him off the dribble too, and he really didn't have it going offensively wise. So what he did was he was able to get the ball out of the hands of Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell was able to play more off the ball, and he had a hell of a first half. And quiet as kept, he tried to keep him within range in the fourth quarter, man. But it was just too much Terrence Mann, too much Reggie Jackson. Let's talk about Reggie Jackson, man. He was kind of quiet to me in the first 3 quarters, but in that fourth quarter, he came alive, man. He went into his bag, and he would take some shots, hitting some very difficult shots at the rim, even against Rudy Gobert. He was able to get the shot off and finish at the rim, man. He was very creative, man. This guy was a guy that left Oklahoma City, got a big contract with the Detroit Pistons. He went there. It didn't work out well. They thought him and Andre Drummond was going to be a nice little 1-2 punch for the Pistons. They thought they could make some noise in the East. It didn't work out that way. I think they made the playoffs one year as an 8 seed, and they got swept, I think, by LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that experiment didn't work, and he kind of moved around for a couple of teams. He had problems with injury and stuff of that nature, and he kind of fell by the wayside. But this was basically a resurrection for him. He's able to come alive in this series, man, and play well. And he's going to have to continue that in the Western Conference Finals, man. Because right now, with them 3 guys they got going, with Paul George, Terrence Mann, and Reggie Jackson, they can keep cooking like they cooked in this series pretty much since Game 5. Those guys have going on. And for Terrence Mann, he really came alive in that Dallas series prior. So Phoenix Suns going to not be surprised like the Dallas Mavericks were surprised by Terrence Mann. They got the book is out on him. So teams are going to have a scouting report on him, and they're going to kind of check out his game in a microscope. They're going to really look at what he does well and what he doesn't do well, and their team is going to play him accordingly. So he's not going to be a surprise to the Monty Williams and the Phoenix Suns like he was a surprise to Rick Carlisle and the Dallas Mavericks. You know, unlike he was a surprise to the to the Utah Jazz and Daniel Snyder. He's not going to be a surprise to the Phoenix Suns. They're going to be well prepared for him. So we're going to see if he can be able to put up, you know, I don't expect him to pull up no 39 points in, 36 minutes. You know, I was sick what he did. That's Kevin Durant type of efficiency right there, what he did last night. But we're going to see if he could be that second or third option that Paul George is going to need if they want to go and try to win that chip. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But give the Clippers credit, man. The Utah Jazz, man, you got to get another guy on the perimeter, man. You got to get a point guard that can stay healthy. If I'm them, I'm looking at Kyle Lowry, You know, if I got to trade 6th man of the year Clarkson, I might think seriously about doing that and bringing in Kyle Lowry from Toronto Raptors, man. But they got to get somebody on the perimeter that can stay healthy and, you know, bring the ball up, create some offense on their own, so it won't be so much all on Donovan Mitchell to create, you know, for himself and for others. And that's a heavy load that he got to carry in that start 5. Now you got Clarkson who can create off the dribble too, but that's just, he's coming off the bench with the bench guys. And you know, and most of the times, you know, when he's out there, he's not even playing with Donovan Mitchell. You know, he's playing with the reserves. He's kind of like, you know, taking on that Donovan Mitchell role as Donovan Mitchell's wrist. He comes in and pretty much be the focal point of the offense. So they need a guy as far as in the starting 5 to come in there and create, get other people involved, and not only that, but create their own offense. That's what they need to be looking for in the offseason, man. Kyle Lowry or, you know, Kemba Walker would have been good, man. He got traded to Oklahoma City, but they need guys for that caliber. Kemba Walker got the same problem Mike Conley got. He can't stay healthy, so I wouldn't advise him to bring him in either, because he's looking at, you know, that's a redundant type of move right there. So that's what they need to look at, man. Maybe trade Mike Conley, Clarkson to the Toronto Raptors for Kyle Lowry. I would be exploring that trade if I'm the Utah Jazz front office. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But the LA Clippers on to the Western Conference Finals to face the Phoenix Suns. They started off game 1 Sunday on ABC. Now, as far as the matchup goes tonight, it's going to be an epic matchup between the Brooklyn Nets and the Milwaukee Bucks. The #1 question that need to get answered in that game 7 is, does Kevin Durant have enough gas left in the tank? That was going to boil down to, did he unload the barrel and laugh because I'm putting lead in your motherfucking ass when I'm busting nut? But like I said, has he unloaded the barrel? Has he unloaded the clip? Does he have anything left? Does he have bullets left in the chambers? Basically, what's going to get answered in game 7. As he put up his points in game 6, but he was not as efficient. He had 7 turnovers. So I think fatigue really played a big part in Kevin Durant's performance in game 6. And he's going to have to go again with only 1 off day, just like he had to go from game 5 to game 6. He got to do basically the same thing from game 6 to game 7, basically a 48-hour turnaround. Does he have enough gas left in his tank? And can the others step up? They didn't step up in game 6, but they stepped up in game 5, that being Jeff Green, Uncle Jeff, and Blake Griffin, a.k.a. your former Superman. He used to be, remember, he used to be Superman doing the Superman commercials. You remember that? Yeah, I think he played that. I think he was trying to play that little Superman role. I don't know. I've got the commercial. He played some kind of little superhero when he's in there with the Clippers. It might not have been Superman. I'm getting that mixed up with Shaq. Shaq was Superman, and then Dwight Howard took on that persona as Superman. But he played that little superhero role. Can he go back to being that superhero type of player as he was with the Los Angeles Clippers? If he can do that for game 7 and give the help that Kevin Durant desperately needs, and can James Harden, who played a little bit better in game 6 than he played in game 7, but he still was pretty much a limited player, as he had a huge second quarter, but he's a guy that can't really get to the basket. He can't explode off the dribble. He's basically, you know, he crosses you over and does a little bit of his that dribble that he's known for, just to create some space and do a little step back 3. That seems to be the main thing in his offense nowadays, that he's limited with that hamstring injury. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. But I said before the series, I like Brooklyn in 7 games, but that's when they had Kyrie, James Harden, and Kevin Durant going to the series. Now that they have Kyrie hurt, not playing in game 7, and you got a limited James Harden, and you got a fatigued Kevin Durant, I'm not so confident that they can pull this game out in 7 games tonight and get the win up in the BK. I'm not as confident as I was that they came in with their full deck. But we will see what happens. We'll see what transpires. Milwaukee, this is a golden opportunity, man. If you don't win this thing now, you think the criticism was been bad against the Greek Freak for the last 2 or 3 seasons. It's going to be 10 times worse if he can't bring it home tonight. You're going against, again, I just stated that this team you playing is limpid and they limited. They're not the same team as they was going into this series or in the regular season for that matter. They've got a lot of injuries, and they got a lot of people that's not playing well, including Joe Harris. So this is a perfect opportunity for Milwaukee to take advantage of this situation. Now, Giannis got to, I don't want to see him shoot no jumpers. Everything got to be 10 feet or closer. He got to attack the basket and pretty much punish a smaller Brooklyn team inside. Brook Lopez, you just love to shoot threes, man, but you need to get in that post, man. You was a great post player in where he's at? In Brooklyn. Matter of fact, he was in Brooklyn a few years ago. He put up a big number, if I'm not mistaken. He was in Brooklyn when they first moved over there. He was the franchise player over there, if I'm not mistaken. Brook Lopez. And he got to go back to them days where he was killing them boys in the post. He had a nice little post game. Nice touch inside. You need to go back to that. Lopez, you know, shoot the three, you know, to keep him honest, but that shouldn't be your main offense. He just basically floating behind the three-point line, out there floating, standing behind the three-point line like he, you know, like he a Dirk Nowitzki or somebody like that, man. He's got to attack the basket, man. He got to attack the basket. He got to get in the post. Not attack the basket. He got to get in the post, man. Use this side. They have nobody that can check him. You know, you can put smaller guys on him if he gonna just stay out there behind the three-point line. You can put a Durant on him, or you can put a goddamn. You can put a shit. He gonna float behind there. You damn nigga put Joe Harris on. You know, because Joe Harris be getting used. He been getting used on the defensive end. People want to talk about his shot not going in, but he been getting misused and abused on defense. They've been taking advantage of him on defense. But shit, if Brook Lopez gonna stand there behind the three-point line, you might want to throw Joe Harris out there with him. Joe Harris can play him behind the three-point line. If he gonna stay out there, they on the same team. I'm tripping, but they used to be on. Nah, I ain't on the same team. I'm tripping, but you know, Brook Lopez used to be with the Brooklyn Nets. But yeah, I put Joe Harris on if he's gonna do that. But he need to get in the post, man. All things being serious right now, we're just kind of playing around. But yeah, he need to get in that post, man. And same thing with Jrue Holiday. Jrue Holiday, quit doing them step back threes, man. You're not hard. You ain't Paul George, man. You need to go to the basket. Go to the basket and attack that rim and score inside. You know, once they start up playing off for you, then you shoot the jumper, man. But you need to start the game out attacking the basket. And Chris Middleton, keep doing what you're doing, man. You played well the last couple of games, man. You start to find your rhythm, man, and you hit shots, man. You got a very good shooter, man. You can get to the basket, and you just a guy that's to me, you kind of remind me of a Ray Allen back when he was with the Milwaukee Bucks, man. You on that level, man. You can shoot, then you can get inside, and you can score. So you can score in the paint. Just a nice player, man. Just a perfect number 2 option for a team, man. I don't think he can ever be a number 1 option, but if you got a superstar player, a top 10 player, and Chris Middleton is your number 2 option, you in good shape, man. You can win at the highest level, in my opinion, man. So he just got to keep being consistent. And if they do that, they got a great chance of coming out away with a victory in Game 7 and moving on to the Eastern Conference Final. So we will see what happens, and we will see what transpires. Let me know your thoughts, who you like in Game 7. I like Brooklyn. I'm going to stick with my original pick, but I'm not that confident in it due to the injuries and the fatigue of Kevin Durant. Let me know your thoughts, and hit the like button if you like the content of this video, and subscribe to JB Sports, the man, the myth, the legend. And I'll holler.